What's going on, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. We got some roster news to get into as the Giants have signed veteran linebacker Matthew Adams in NFL free agency. We'll break down Adams as a player. We'll tell you where he will slot in on this football team and why the Giants made this move. But I want to close today's show talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. potentially falling to the New York Giants at pick number 6. Albert Breer, NFL insider, hinted that Marvin Harrison Jr. could be on the board when the Giants are on the clock at number 6. Jordan Renan, who covers the Giants, hinted at it. So we're going to talk about it. That's around the corner. But the Giants, they did really make some news today by the signing of Matthew Adams in NFL free agency. He was a 7th-round pick by the Indianapolis Colts back in the 2018 NFL Draft. He's played in 85 career games in the NFL with 13 starts. Spent his first 4 years in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts. That's really where he had his most usage and most success as a defensive player. And in the last 2 years, spent time with the Chicago Bears and last year with the Cleveland Browns. You look at the stats that he's compiled over the last 4 years, and they're really not all that many. 17 tackles this year, a forced fumble, 26 tackles last year in 17 games played for the Bears, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble. And the prior 2 years to that, he had 12 total tackles. He only had 96 defensive snaps last year, 189 defensive snaps the year before that, 2 defensive snaps in 2021, and 105 defensive snaps in 2020. So you're probably like, Marshall, why did the Giants make this move? It is another player that they are going to use and prioritize on special teams. With the changes to the kickoff and really kickoff receiving rules this year, we're starting to see teams place a little bit more of an importance on these back of the roster guys that can contribute on special teams. And Adams, he has done that throughout his career. Over 1,700 total snaps on special teams, 405 on kickoff return, 435 on kickoff coverage, 333 on punt return, 336 on punt coverage, and 228 on field goal blocks. So he can contribute in every aspect of that third side of the game when it comes to the special teams department, where the Giants really struggled last year. Ranked by Pro Football Focus as the 24th best unit. You have a new special teams coach in Gobes. They got to get it together, and this is a move that's definitely going to give them a player that has some real-life experience there and has had success there, as you see his special teams grades from Pro Football Focus. He is on the depth chart as a linebacker, but I don't necessarily expect him to play that much linebacker. It just came into my head while thinking about this. This is pretty much your Cam Brown replacement. Cam Brown out of Penn State. He was with the Giants the last couple of years as a linebacker, but he was a special team specialist. And that is where Adams will slot in. So he'll help you there, as well as Carter Coughlin. And as we currently sit, the Giants have just 9 open roster spots for UDFAs entering the draft. They've made a couple of moves the last couple of days, signing back at the end roster guys. And I think they still might make another move at the cornerback position. And that's why you subscribe, because when the Giants make a move, we make a video, free, informative, entertaining updates every day on your New York Football Giants. The NFL Draft, less than 2 weeks away. We're going to be live for day 1, day 2, and day 3, and I want to see you there. So subscribe, turn your notifications on, and I kindly ask for you to help us reach our goal of 46,000 subscribers. Alrighty, let's close the show talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. and the idea that Maserati Marv could still be on the board when the Giants are on the clock at number 6. Multiple NFL insiders are starting to really talk about it as more of a realistic option than a pipe dream, which it was just a couple of weeks ago. Albert Breer for Sports Illustrated said this: "I think the Vikings come up for J.J. McCarthy at pick number 4. And if I'm guessing from there, Joe Alt to the Chargers at number 5, and MHJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., to the New York Giants at number 6. Jordan Renan recently just released a podcast and said, the feeling around the league is that Joe Alt, my sweet prince, will go number 5 to the LA Chargers. And is it really going to be that crazy of an idea if Harbaugh, who has literally had success at every level of football because of the front 5 offensive line, is going to go with the best offensive lineman in the draft? I don't think it's that crazy. And neither do NFL reporters and content creators that work for CBS Sports and the Pro Football Network. Here are other NFL beat reporters that have come up with mock drafts, 4 more, that have Marvin Harrison Jr. falling to the Giants at 6. Patrick Seatman called me crazy 2 weeks ago when I said MHJ could be a Giant at number 6. I don't think it's that crazy of an idea now. I think it is almost the expectation that Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May are going to be the first 3 picks in the NFL draft. And if the Minnesota Vikings are trying to trade into the top 5 to select a quarterback, it's going to have to be at pick 4 or 5 to select J.J. McCarthy. And then you get the Los Angeles Chargers, who are on the clock at number 5. Are we going to be shocked if the first 5 picks looks like this? Williams, Daniels, May, trade up for McCarthy, and then Harbaugh, the guy that wins games in the trenches everywhere he's been, takes Joe Alt over Marvin Harrison Jr.? Am I going to be shocked? No, not at all. Will I be shocked if he takes Marvin Harrison Jr.? I will not be shocked either. There is a legit chance that Marvin Harrison Jr. just might be a Giant. I have more thoughts about that around the corner. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the game. Win big money, withdraw your winnings, and turn your hoops knowledge or baseball knowledge into some dollars. Right now, it's the best time to play Prize Picks. The MLB is back, the NBA is heating up, and I'm on a heater myself. I've won 2 Prize Picks lineups back-to-back days. I'm hoping to make it 3 in a row. I think the New York Knicks are absolutely going to dominate the Chicago Bulls tonight. I don't see Josh Hart playing that many minutes in the second half, so give me the less on his points, rebounds, and assists. I think Paolo Banchero is going to struggle tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. They've got a pretty good defense. Give me the less on his points, rebounds, and assists. You can roll with my picks or fade my picks. I've gotten 2 lineups correct in a row, which probably means I'm going to get the third one wrong. So maybe you fade them, or maybe you just be a real one and ride them, and we ride or die together. PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Create a lineup, 2 to 6 players. Pick more, pick less, play Prize Picks. My overall take on Marvin Harrison potentially being on the board when the Giants are on the clock at number 6 is this. It is my #1 dream scenario for the Giants outside of trading up for Drake May or Jaden Daniels. If the Giants do not move up in the order to go get their quarterback, the #1 thing that I am hoping and praying and have been doing so for months is for Marvin Harrison Jr. to be a Giant. If I had to rank my total ideal outcomes, it's trade up for Drake May. It's really then draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and then trade up for Jaden Daniels. That's how special Marv is. I think if you asked anybody that has covered him, has studied him, they would agree with this. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a top 15 wide receiver walking this earth right now. He is. He is going to walk in this league and be dominant. He is the best wide receiver prospect that the draft has seen in 10 plus years. If I had to make a pro comp for him, he is a more explosive AJ Green. And he's got a gold jacket waiting for him in Canton, Ohio. You look at what he's done the last 2 years at 6'4", 205 pounds. He dominated the Big Ten. 77 catches last year, nearly 1,300 yards, almost 17 yards per catch, 14 touchdowns, and just 3 drops. This year, with a horrible quarterback, the entire defensive game plan focused on stopping him. They could not do it. Another 67 grabs, 1,200 more yards, 18.1 yards per catch with McCord throwing him the football, 14 touchdowns. The dude is sick, and he is the #2 player on my big board. There are 3 players in this draft class that I feel confident will succeed. Like, I'm willing to bet a large sum of money. It's Caleb Williams, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., and it's Joe Alt. I believe those 3 players have the highest floor in this draft class while also potentially holding the highest ceiling of any player at that position. MHJ is damn near a perfect wide receiver prospect. You want to line him up in the slot? He has every single route tree. You want him to use leverage to win routes? He does that. He's the most mature route runner I have studied since working on this channel dating back to the 2021 NFL Draft. He is a special, special prospect, and he would change life for the New York Giants, not just at the receiver position, but for an offense as a whole. I already hear the comments, but Marshall, who's throwing him the football? We'll go get our franchise quarterback next offseason. But we'll go get potentially a Hall of Fame wide receiver right now. Can't go broke taking a profit and getting potentially the best position player in this draft at a major position of need. Yeah, that's an A+ for me. A lot of people, though, like to say that Malik Nabers is just as good or Malik Nabers is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm not going to say that because I don't believe that to be true whatsoever. I do have Nabers as my number 2 wide receiver. And the reason that people will say Nabers is better than MHJ is because he's more explosive. He's better with the ball in his hands. He's more of a dynamic playmaker. Blah, blah, blah. Marvin Harrison Jr. has 68 catches over the last 2 years for more than 15+ yards. 47% of his catches in the last 2 seasons have been considered explosive plays. That's 8 more catches than Malik Nabers in that department, and he's supposed to be the most athletic, dynamic, playmaking, explosive receiver in this draft class. Marvin Harrison has just outproduced him there, and he's also 6'4" and a much more developed route runner. Still wide receiver 2, but he just may be the best position player in this draft class. What is your dream scenario for the Giants in round 1? Trading up for Drake May is still 1 for me, but number 2 would be going and adding Marvin Harrison Jr. 3 would be Jaden Daniels. I want to hear from the real ones down below. We talked about how MHJ becoming a Giant would change life for them. That changes this wide receiver group that made me want to throw up looking at it just today, and the addition of him makes me I'm not nauseous anymore. Because you got MHJ, you got Jalin Hyatt, you got Wan'Dale Robinson, and Darius Slayton. And if Isaiah Hodgins is your wide receiver 5, you're in a pretty good spot. You have a true, outside, legitimate, playmaking X-receiver. You need to go get that guy. Whether it's MHJ or not, the Giants have to add more weapons to this football team. If you get Malik Nabers at 6, I'll be jumping for joy. If you take Roma Dunze at pick number 6, I'll be jumping for joy. If you trade down to pick 11 with the Vikings and you get another playmaker, I'll be all right. But you got to add somebody to this offense that puts some fear into a defensive coordinator. Because right now they don't have that player. And MHJ, he would do that for the next 12 years. Shout out to everybody that tuned in to today's video. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon for me and give me a follow on social media at @MarshallGreen_ on Twitter, as well as at @MarshallGreen_ on Instagram. We are just, 13 days away from the NFL draft. I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you there.